Hello, everyone, and welcome to our video on deep scars, scar tissue in general, but focusing more on those that are deeper within the body. Now, I've prepared some slides just to give some visuals and to talk through the protocols and how we use our devices to deal with these deep scar issues. So just bear with me while I share that. All right, there we go. So how do we treat deep scars with microcurrent therapy? Now, first off, let's talk about scars in general. So scars or scar tissue refers to thick, fibrous tissues that take the place of healthy ones that have been damaged. This is totally normal. It happens all the time when you get injured. Healthy tissues could be destroyed from a cut, from an injury, like even breaking any kind of bone in your body or twisting your ankle badly or having a bad fall. These things can all, as well as things like surgery, lead to scar tissue. Now, tissue damage is likely going to be internal in many cases. That we see a lot less of it on the surface of our bodies, and it can form post-surgery. It can even form as the result of disease. If you have a condition like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, you will develop scar tissue in your gut as well. Now, in the early stages of this, scar tissue isn't always painful. You don't actually normally notice pain or discomfort from scar tissue. And this is because the nerves in the area may have been destroyed, along with the healthy body tissues from the injury. Over time, though, the scar tissue can become painful because the nerve endings will start to regenerate and repair within that tissue. And then the scar tissue kind of puts pressure on the nerves. Now, scar tissue can also become painful through internal disease. Over time, people talk about adhesions, and really the amount of pain can also vary based on the severity of any initial wound or trauma. So, for example, a massive surgery, which is very invasive, for example, a C-section, where you're cutting deep into the body, this can cause a lot of deeper scar tissue that goes beyond what we see, and it may not cause much discomfort after it's healed, but years later, it could catch up with us. So what's the big deal about scars? Everyone has scars. They're a thing that everyone has. So why are they dangerous? Well, scar tissue isn't just about pain. Yes, sometimes it hurts to have scar tissue, but that's not really the worst of it. Often more important than the pain and the stiffness is the communication issue. If you're dealing with the body electric, this is the thing that should be at the forefront of your mind. Under normal circumstances, our body's tissues act as conductors, and they allow electrical signals to pass through the tissue in an instant and command the body to perform an action. Okay, so this is how the body just and brain functions to just work normally. So these actions are a very big deal. The body needs these signals to trigger important functions. So these functions could be to turn off the pain response, to heal twisted muscles, or even to repair broken bones. If those signals aren't getting through, we're in trouble. So, like a beaver dam, scar tissue slows down and sometimes completely blocks water flow of the river, right? So, this is what beaver dams do. Scar tissue is taking on that function in the body, it's blocking the communication, the electrical currents of our body's tissue from getting through. So, let's look at a picture of some collagen here, because this shows the reason for this. So the water-bound nature of collagen makes it a medium for whole body communication because water conducts electricity. Healthy tissues are well hydrated like this, and they actually sit there with all these little water molecules in them. And so as a signal needs to travel through, it can bounce happily through the tissue and make it where it needs to go. Scar tissue dries up. Water can no longer get into the tissue, and so conduction is not possible, meaning that the scar itself will not allow any kind of conduction through it. So it prevents communication. So healthy collagen is nice straight lines. It's not twisted, right? And you could see that if you're thinking about the body going from somewhere, if it wants to go along a signal path, it just flies right on through. Scar tissue, on the other hand, is twisted and messy. And kind of like those games you find on placemats in restaurants for kids, you're trying to find your way through a tunnel without finding dead ends. The signals eventually, as they travel through these areas, will hit walls where they can't go any further, or they just take a very long time to find their way through. You can tell I've practiced this one before. So essentially, the scar tissue will absorb or slow or disrupt the signals that our body is trying to send to heal it. So, scars act as capacitors, right? So, what this means is that they store the electricity. And a common question is, well, this is a scar I've had my entire life. So, why is it a problem? We have to realize that breakdown in the body is not often a quick process. In the absence of disease states like cancer, which even then can be rather slow, chronic pain, chronic disease, this gets worse and worse over the years because it continues to flourish. And the same goes for scar tissue blockages. It gets worse and worse over the years. If communication is only blocked a small portion of the time, or it's not completely eradicated by massive amounts of scar tissue, it's going to take a long time for this to catch up. But we still need to allow it we still need to deal with it and address it. So that's kind of scar tissue in a nutshell across the board. That's what scar tissue is. But this video, we want to talk specifically about deep scars. Deep scars from intense surgeries need to be treated as well, just like a regular scar would. So sometimes you might see that even the case of hysterectomy, you might not see the scarring, but there's been a lot of, they actually kind of cauterize areas of the where they remove things from when they do these laparoscopic surgeries even. And so there's internal scar tissue that we may not be seeing, and it's deeper than the surface of our body. So functionally, this is a concern where veteran microcurrent users might say, hey, I'm just going to use my Hache. I'm going to use PEMFs. This is going to get there and neutralize it because that's what we do when we want to reach deep areas usually. But in practice, that's just not really the case. In general, the voltage, which only means push, that we have a high voltage device because we have a high push device, this allows us to go deeper in general. So really, whatever we do is going deeper than the surface of our bodies with our machines. Certain programs, though, do go deeper than others, and people that have the Pinnacle will be a superior option that will give them faster results. So, how do we treat scars? It's really as simple to treat a deep scar as it is to treat a non-deep scar with like an extra step in there. So the treatment of deep scars is first done, just like regular scars, with 77 hertz. 77 hertz neutralizes scar tissue, it realigns the collagen, and it allows water to enter it again, making it conductive. If you don't neutralize scar tissue, you will not heal. This is why rule number one of microcurrent in our books, treat all your scars. Doesn't matter whether they're next to the area that's causing you a problem or not. Treat your scars if you want to resolve your issues. Takes 3 minutes to neutralize scar tissue. That's it. And you're not going to have to neutralize it again. However, after this, to get to these deeper scars, you're going to want to switch to a different mode. So if you have our Genesis 2, Genesis device, or our Evolution, start with 77 hertz, and then you're going to switch to blue stimulation. This is the one with the blue light next to it on both of those devices. And you're going to hold it on the area of the scar where you know the scarring is for a few minutes. So this takes longer than the 3 minutes if you've got a lot of scar tissue. But treating over the area and holding it in place, this will actually allow the current to go deeper as it's continuing to go through the layers of the tissue and reach the scar tissue as needed. This is because stimulation programs in our machines have essentially got extra push behind them in the form of pulses and other features that make them go deeper, kind of like swinging down and up and down and up. So you're going to hit those deeper spots fairly easily, but you want to hold it in place to allow it to kind of keep digging deeper and deeper. Beyond this, if you have an Avazia Life Pinnacle, you can just use Sana Deep 77. This is an enhanced version of 77 hertz designed specifically to go deeper. It will neutralize the scar tissue because it's the neutralization frequency, and it's made to go deeper anyway, so there's no need to use the blue stimulation. With this, because it doesn't have the varying pulses in it, you can actually paint with this over the area, and it's going to be going deeper without needing to hold it in place Although, of course, you can also hold it in place too, if that's what you want to do. So that is deep scar tissue treatment in a nutshell. It's very, very easy to do. I will say when I'm doing scar tissue treatment, I actually prefer the electrode built into the back of the machine. So instead of using any probes, just because it's a very large surface area and it will allow me to cover more scar tissue at once. Another good option for this is going to be the massager electrode, which is also a fairly large electrode, so that you can, again, just simply cover more space. Some people also really enjoy the bells for long scars because they can hold one bell in place and trace trace along the scar with the other bell as they go. So let's address the elephant in the room of PEMFs for scar tissue treatment. So our Viachi and our Chi Wave Pad are excellent tools to enable you to use passive regenerative capacities in a deeper level of the body. And they do work very gently, a little bit longer than microcurrent to get the results, but they're not really gonna work on scars, in my opinion. So we've done it. We've done it before. We've had others do it before as well. But the efficacy of PEMF devices in the treatment of scar tissue is kind of questionable. Adding it in while also doing the actual neutralization, maybe that's different. But to actually with the microcurrent, but to actually replace the microcurrent directly and say I'm just going to do PEMS for scars, that is not really going to make a lot of sense. I think you need the microcurrent itself to actually realign that collagen. PEMF is far too gentle of a treatment. It is pure energy without any physical force behind it. So I think you need the microcurrent to do scars. And I always say that. Now, luckily, it is in every one of our devices, the capacity to deal with scar tissue. So it's not like you have to get any other tools to do so. But if you want to add PEMFs in, as long as you've done the neutralization in general, go for it. There is no reason not to give it a try. But I wouldn't risk saying that PEMFs will neutralize scar tissue and allow the collagen to realign in the same way the microcurrent does. I just wouldn't be comfortable with that assessment. Okay, so that is the end of this video. Hopefully you found it useful, a little educational piece on the importance of treating deep scars that we need to be working with. Now, this is a protocol that everyone should be paying attention to. I want you to remember as we close out the comments here that deep scar tissue, it's kind of in everyone in one way or the other. Whether you've got fatty liver disease, whether you have lung scarring from smoking when you were younger, whether you inhaled smoke during a fire or you broke a bone, there's deep scarring within everyone, whether you've avoided surgeries or not. So you should be paying attention to the deeper scars as well as the surface scars. So I highly encourage you to think of scars as something that goes beyond just what you see. I've got my little cat scratch scars here on my arms, but beyond that, there are other scars that go deeper. And laparoscopic surgeries don't mean less scar tissue. They still have to deal with stuff on the inside. They just mean less visible scar tissue. So think about all of these pieces. Think about the conditions that could have impacted you, whether it's chronic digestive problems on the organs and what that could do. Think about all of it. Let's just use our minds and our knowledge of our own bodies to be able to treat, neutralize, and clear this deep scarring and help the body's overall healing potential. Okay, so thanks everyone. Take care. I'll see you in another video.